Joining us right now to talk about that, the Super Bowl. You're going there in just a little bit. The NBA and the world of sports. Boardroom co-founder and CEO Rich Kleiman also has got a big announcement with Fanatics and Fanatic Fest, which I want to talk about in just a little bit. Super Bowl. You want to talk Super Bowl or you want to talk NBA first, though? Because I think
Super Bowl.
You want to talk about Super Bowl first. I think the big question that I would just ask you is, we're talking about how President Trump is going down there. It's first time president's gone there. Just this Super Bowl in particular, but all the Super Bowls have become almost like a mecca, like a Olympics for the business of the Super Bowl and the business of sport. Meaning, you're going down there in large part, I imagine, because it's become a business event.
Without question. Without question. I mean, the game itself, obviously exciting, but from Friday to Sunday, there's events where networking and brands are taking spaces.
It's like the Davos of...
Yeah, in some ways. I mean, I think all those flagship moments on the calendar, Super Bowl, All-Star, have that type of appeal. F1 has started to have it, but there's nothing like Super Bowl weekend. And I think the fact that so many NFL players also go to the Super Bowl weekend and there's so much business opportunity for them. Like, you won't see players in the NBA be at the All-Star weekend or be at a championship game if they're not playing, for the most part. But for the Super Bowl, it's a great opportunity for NFL players as well to make connection, to make money. And there's so much opportunity and so much intersection of all those parts of the sports world.
Okay, I want to go NBA because I got to hear you. I just got to hear your take on like 100 different things. Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, Lakers, Mavs, this trade. Everybody wants to understand
the craziest thing
what
ever?
has actually happened here. The Mavs, by the way, are apparently returning. If you bought seats for the season, you
just
can
traded the
get them back.
franchise player.
What do you think has
Luka?
happened here? Can you explain it?
I mean, I was surprised. I think everybody was surprised. And I think part of the surprise was also that nobody knew, right? Like, the NBA has taken on this whole world of sources and media and breaking news and allegedly. And a lot of times we all know what's about to happen before it happens. Unfortunately, I've been a victim of that. I've had to live with that for a long time. I think in that case, both teams made a very concerted effort to not allow that to become public. It was surprising, clearly, because of the age. I think what's being forgotten in all this conversation is just how incredible Anthony Davis is. Like, this isn't just a throwaway player. This is one of the best players in the NBA year after year. The age difference and what
What is he, 32?
He's
versus
32.
25?
Yeah. I mean, and listen, that's a big age gap in the NBA. But when you look at your roster and, it's an organization, and a lot of times you have no idea what's going on within an organization. There's personalities, there's egos, and decisions are made that sometimes don't make sense to fans. And hopefully for Dallas, they'll be able to see success in the next few years.
But I think that's the question. If it doesn't make sense to fans and if they're that angry, does it make sense to the organization? There's a huge risk factor there.
Yeah, but I think ultimately the people in position are there to win, right? And as long as they have their job, it's their job to give themselves the best chance to win. And I would imagine that the fans ultimately want that. And I get it.
But Luka, what he did last year in the playoffs was unbelievable.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
What would you do if you were the Lakers? To LeBron? I don't know. He steps
up. What do you mean you don't know?
Well, he steps up when he needs to, but he's still, what is he, 40? Something like that?
Yeah, he's still elite.
I know, but who would you, just to really make it, showtime again? Who would they need?
Well, I'm pretty sure that Luka and LeBron are going to be showtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
for how long? I don't think LeBron's going to play that much longer.
Well, I don't think that's breaking news. He's 40 years old, but
so a year or two?
I don't know.
So who do you bring?
He's still at an elite level. Still at an elite level. I think that's ultimately why the Lakers, in a lot of people's opinion, won the trade. Even though I think there's an argument on both sides, the shock value around Luka being traded has a lot to do with everyone's uproar. But for the Lakers, they've got somebody to build around, which they've consistently done decade after decade. And I think in that regard, they made a great move for the organization.
Let me ask you a different question. And I got a tweet I want to show you. This is a Chamath Palihapitiya, because it's a bigger question about the NBA writ large. It's actually in the context of this trade, but I think you may have an opinion about this. I think we have it. Do we have this tweet? This is Chamath saying the following. He said, "I sold my ownership in the Warriors last year, in part because I was pretty sure a competition for the NBA was coming, a la the Live Golf versus PGA. The speculated antics below," this is about why they made the trade, "only reinforced the likelihood that a group of well-heeled investors with $5 to $10 billion could quickly stand up a competitor to the NBA. Obviously, LeBron's partner, Maverick Carter, is trying to build a 3-on-3 league of some sort.
It's not a 3-on-3 league.
Well, what do you think it's going to turn into?
No, I'm saying it's not 3-on-3. Listen, I think when you've had, let's say, one organization that's existed in a particular field, like the NBA has, and I am as big an NBA fan as there is room for disruption. We've seen that. And I think ultimately the way the NBA has operated historically, and again, I want to preface, Adam, I love the NBA, but there is a 82-game schedule. It's rigorous. As you see, players do not have kind of control over where they're going. If you're playing in a city or get traded to a city that's away from your family, and nobody should ask for sympathy for this matter, but this is what it means to be in the NBA. And if there was an alternative that allowed these players to have a more condensed schedule, to play in different markets that they don't normally play in, to be able to live at home with their family, compete on a shorter schedule and time frame, it's all about how you approach it, but I don't think it's so crazy to think that those guys can pull this off.
Let me ask the direct. So you're correct. You're Kevin Durant's man. Would Kevin go off and play in another league?
Well, I'm his manager.
Right.
And his business partner.
Yes.
I mean, Kevin is, no, I don't know. Yes, potentially, actually. If there was an opportunity for Kevin to extend his NBA career and he wanted to be somewhere, he loves playing basketball.
Right.
And the economics made sense and the opportunity made sense. And I think the guys that are putting this together obviously are the right people to do this. And I think they have the right vision.
Do you see them putting together a competitor to the NBA, or do you see them putting an extension onto the NBA effectively? Meaning, do you think this is actually going to compete directly with it, or
alternative?
Do you think that you'll end up having players play in the NBA, and this will end up becoming like a summer league?
No, I don't think I don't think the way this is structured is meant to be but I think that ultimately an option, an alternative for a player. There's 480, 500 players in the NBA, right?
Right.
There's a lot of great NBA players. There's NBA players that are coming from overseas. And I think it's the optionality. And I think that the disruption is probably going to be great for the NBA. And it'll be a great opportunity for the players that choose to go there.
It's not just disruption from that. It's also from the college leagues at this point. NIL has changed that game, not just for basketball, also for football. But that's a weird competitive situation where you have players who might stick around and play college instead of going to the professional leagues, and some players who would have never gotten picked up by the professional leagues staying and making a lot of money. Yeah,
I don't know how many college kids will bypass the professional leagues for NIL.
Robert Kraft was telling me about one that did it in football.
Yes, I mean, I guess if somebody's on the cusp or they're not sure where they'll be drafted and they're getting offered big money. But listen, this is a drastic shift from the way it used to be. And the way it used to be wasn't right at all either. So I think the idea that there's some unregulation or evolving regulation is not so crazy, but the players deserve to get paid. And it's not just NFL, the college football players and college basketball players. I think what gets lost is all these opportunities that NIL has afforded athletes in other sports.